Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Broad Podcaster with me, Jennifer Fierro, here in the Llano Lakes, and of course Art Dlugach, the voice of the Llano Yellow Jackets. Week 11 is upon us here. It is the final regular season game of the Texas high school football season, and for some of us, the season will continue. For others of us, the season will end, and then that's when reality will set in. But we're going to start with the Yellow Jackets because their season is going to continue no matter what happens this week against Ingram.
Totally meaningless game from one perspective, but I'll get into some of the meanings as we go along here. The Jackets, 9-0. They've clinched outright championship of District 13, and they also will be the top seed in the first round of the playoffs, which is the following weekend, the weekend of November 11, and they will probably play Cotulla in the first round. Cotulla will be the fourth place team from District 14, so that's another good reason that you really want to win that championship among many others. So Llano is playing Ingram 4-5 on the year, and the Tom Moore Warriors will not make the playoffs. And I've sort of kidded Coach Green in the past when the final game comes up and it's not a real tough opponent, and he always likes to be kind to the foe, and so he'll make them out as good as he can. He's told me he won't lie to his kids and tell them that this is a great team or a bad team. He tells it the way he sees it. But the reason I mentioned I've been kidding him is because this one does not matter as far as the championship is concerned or the top seeding. Okay, what does matter is 10-0 would be a great regular season, as good as you can get, and it will be the third best so-called start. Seems funny to say start after 10 games in Llano history. The Jackets were 13-0 in 2020. And in 1997, they were 11-0. So they're now fourth place, being 9-0, but a win on Friday against Ingram, and they would be 10-0 going into the playoffs. It's interesting to me that in the early 2000s, Ingram wasn't a great team either, but they beat the Jackets 2 years in a row, 2002, 28-20, and 2003, 25-20. I know that Llano was pretty surprised at those results. So anyway, this looks like it should be a victory, and another important niche that Llano will fill with a win. It will be their 19th consecutive home win, and that's 4 years, 2019 through 2022. And the reason it's not 20 is because one season, Lake Belton game was canceled, and so that year, Llano just won 4 home games. So it's 5, 5, 5, and 4 if this one happens on Friday night. And that's a great streak to have for sure. My understanding is that Carson Kirkendall, the terrific running back for the Jackets, and I predict him as the offensive MVP of District 13, will play against Ingram. That's what I'm hearing now, and that could change, of course. He was hurt in the Blanco game, a 17-6 win a couple of weeks ago at Blanco, and of course, he was missed. Miguel Hernandez filled in very well and will do so again this week, and we'll have another running back or two. But for now, I think he's playing. If he doesn't, send me all the letters you like, and I will apologize for being wrong in that category. Llano's season, without getting into all the stats, and there are so many and so many good ones, averaging close to 500 yards a game, and again, invoking the name of Coach Green, he never met a fourth quarter he liked. In other words, if the game is decided, he had the boys, I won't say they weren't trying, but they were not going for extra touchdowns to rub it in against the opponent. And one game classically ended on 2 delays of game penalties. You won't see that very often, but that was how eager Coach Green was for that game to end. Coach Green, offensive coordinator and assistant head coach, as I mentioned, the 500 yards a game has just been outstanding. You got to realize these kids are just playing 48 minutes. And again, they're not running up the score in both the third and fourth quarters. And so for that kind of yardage, you've got to be real proud of them for that. And Coach, defensive coordinator Matt Anastasio has done a wonderful job with the defense. So everything has just been going as planned, and we'll see if it continues that way Friday, and then the following weekend, the playoffs begin. I will mention quickly the other three teams in the district which will make the playoffs, all good teams, I'll assure you, Blanco, Marion, and UC Randolph. So one of those teams will come in fourth and will have to play probably Jourdanton in the first round. And I'll tell you something, Jourdanton will have its hands full.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see a weak among those four teams that you mentioned.
No.
Because one of the more impressive things is that Llano had to win two of those games on the road, and they were within 2 scores, right? UC Randolph was within 2 scores, and so was Blanco.
Absolutely. The UC Randolph game, as I've mentioned on the podcast several times, Llano did not lead in that game until there were 53 seconds to play. 21-14 was the final. Then Marion wasn't the difficult opponent that a lot of us thought it would be. Llano pulled away for a very impressive 35-7 victory. And as I said, 17-6 over Blanco was also impressive. So those will be the 4 teams in the playoffs, and it's somewhat conceivable they could all win first-round games, although I'm not counting out Jourdanton or Poteet for sure from District 14.
Yeah, you have to show up that day for sure. You and I are in a very unique position here in that I don't think there's a bad defensive coordinator. I really like Coach Craven at Marble Falls. I think he's an up-and-coming defensive coordinator in the industry. I feel the same way about Corey Warner at Lampasas, and we'll talk about the Marble Falls Lampasas game here in the next segment. But I also feel that way about Ben Spear at Burnett and Coach Anastasio at Llano. I just think they are fantastic defensive coordinators because defense, I hate to use the phrase seek and destroy, but defense is about identifying where the ball is and then getting there as quickly as you can to make a play. And to me, that's a lot of heart and that's a lot of determination. What makes Coach Anastasio and his unit so uniquely terrific?
Well, I'll tell you, he's got a great experience coming to Llano several years ago, but has coached at Odessa Permian and also at Gregory Portland, I believe. But he really knows the game, no question. You hit it well when you talked about the heart and determination of the kids, and he's a big reason for that. After the defense has played well, which is just about every game, I'll go up to him and congratulate him. In every game he says the same thing. I didn't make a tackle. The boys made a tackle. But I'll assure you that at halftime, if things aren't going well, as they weren't going that great in the opener against Gerald, giving up 19 points in the first half, he'll get on those kids with, let's just say, a firm hand. And that helps in the heart and determination departments, I believe. But he's just got a great football mind and has been around the game so long that he's just been terrific as a coordinator for Llano.
Yeah, I have to say, when I covered the Luling game with you that night, I remember seeing the outstanding linebacker Manahan. And there was a play where Luling, I don't remember, they got positive yards. And I don't know who was more disappointed, the Yellow Jackets themselves or the coaches, because Manahan, the way that he reacted after that game or after that particular play, and it wasn't bad per se, but it was, we're going to get him on this one. This next play, we're going to get them. And to me, I think in particular, defenses take on the personalities of their defensive coordinators.
Hayden has had another spectacular year and has already set the record for career tackles at Llano, the outstanding linebacker. There's so many young boys that we could mention. In talking with Hayden, he told me, I guess after the Blanco game, he wants to continue playing football and not sure whether that will be D2 or D3. He's not very big. You expect a linebacker to be a Hulk. He's not at all. But boy, he really gets it done on the gridiron.
No, I don't know what his stature or weight is, but I will tell you the biggest part of his game is his heart. There's no question. He is one of the most complete linebackers in the area. He's the one who gives, right? He's the one who gives the plays to the defense when the huddle, right? I think that's correct.
And they have a system, too, where they will slap the butt, if you'll excuse me, of the front 3 or 4 on which way to go or something like that. Much too complicated for me, I'll assure you. And it's just been such a fine year, as we've said, for him and so many of the other boys.
Yeah.
And they certainly will be missed, but glad that Llano had them for as long as they did.
Yeah.
And Hayden, I predict, will be the defensive player of the year in the district. So I've made 2 pretty good predictions. We'll find out how good they are. Bold, I will call them, because the coaches don't want to get that far ahead.
Well, there's no doubt when you are as gifted on both sides of the ball as the Yellow Jackets, you have to have some players who are extraordinary. And you mentioned 2 of them. We could go on and on all day, but fortunately we have several more Yellow Jacket games to talk about. I'm ready to close this segment out. Anything else you want to say?
Looking way, way ahead, Edna is an awfully good team in the Llano region. Region 4, the Jackets could play them maybe the 3rd round. I'm not sure exactly, but that will be a task if the Jackets get that far.
Okay, and if that happens, I can localize that. There's a local angle here in Marble Falls we can talk about.
Very good.
We're going to close this segment out. We're going to come back and talk about the Burnett County 11-man teams. There are some big games happening for Burnett High School this week. We're going to go with the football team, though. As always, for all of your local Highland Lake sports news, please go to TexasChalkTalk.com. And as always, we ask that you please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.